everybody from Mauritius, but also Africa, and even my friends who keep following us out of Europe as well. A great day today, sunny, clean day, and I've got a fantastic gentleman here who, when he started his career in hospitality in the tourism sector, I wasn't born. So 5 decades of experience in the tourism sector in Mauritius, but also experience also in the Seychelles. He's the patron to the Seychelles Tourism Academy. Claude Narain has started his career obviously in hospitality. He will talk, we will ask him to give us a description of what he's done. And also, we shouldn't forget, he is also an officer of the Order of the Star and Key of the Indian Ocean for Mauritius, given by the Mauritian government. So his CV is so long. Yeah, Claude, 50 years of experience. Would love you to give us a hint of where you started 50 years ago. Yeah, what was the first job, when you got into tourism, and how your career progressed eventually. And 5 decades later, extremely well-experienced CV, and would love to hear about what we call the brief history of time for the Mauritian tourism industry. Claude, welcome, Claude.
Welcome, Kevin, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about myself.
So I was wondering, if you started 50 years ago, you must have been in your teens, because you still look very young, and 5 decades is a long time, Claude. So tell us a bit more about yourself. What was your first job? I mean, how did you get into this industry?
Even in 1964, in fact, I terminated my school certificate and I was waiting for my result. And I was looking for a job. And the only job that I could have found at that time was a dishwasher in the kitchen in let's say, the only beach hotel at that time, which was called Le Chaland, and today it is called Chandrani Hotel. So I started my career there as a dishwasher, and then moved in the restaurant as a waiter. But in the meantime, I've got my school certificate result, and I passed the school certificate. And I started to apply for some job, as in those days, parents think that if you are in the government, you have a good situation. Nobody knows about the hotel industries at that time. And nobody knows that the hotel industry will be so prosperous as it is today. So I continue to be a waiter at Le Chaland. And at the same time, I apply in the police force. From waiter, I was, let's say, promoted to wine waiter, and then to receptionist at the hotel. And when I got my promotion as a receptionist at the hotel, I got at the same time, because I applied up for the police force, I've gone through all the, let's say, the examination and all that. And I was selected in the police force, which was in 1968, which means after 4 years in the hotel industry. And I went to see them, my manager at that time was an Englishman at Le Chaland, Mr. Hargreaves, and said to Mr. Hargreaves, listen, I'm here as a receptionist, and now I've been selected as a policeman. He said to me, listen, I can't advise you. I can't say to you that you will be a general manager of the hotel one day, or you will be the commissioner of the police one day. You have to choose yourself. So, of course, listening to the parents and the families, I left the hotel industry and I joined the police force in 1968 for 8 months, and I've come out among the best recruits in the police force.
So that
But
was the year.
after 8 months,
That was the year of independence, yeah, 1968.
that was the year of the independence, and we had this, let's say, it was not so easy at that time with all these fightings going on and the racial, I must say, riots and all that, you see. And so I realized after 8 months, it was not for me. So I asked, in those days, Mauritius Hotel, let's say the management, and I came back to Le Chalon as a receptionist. Then I said to myself, I'm going to make a career in the hotel industry. But Kevin, there was nobody to let's say, as a career guidance, to say to you that, okay, you're going to follow this, you're going to follow that, and you will be succeed one day. So I tried to, let's say, trace my own path. And in 1971, I've got a scholarship from the German, let's say, from Germany. And so I left Mauritius in 1971, went to Germany to study hotel management for 3 years.
Which Germany was it, West or East?
Which was West, of course. I was in fact, I was in one of the small villages to learn the language, which is called Valchenze, and moved to Wiesbaden to the industry, let's say, a Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Commerce School. And I spent 3 years there, and I took my final examination after 3 years, and I came back to Mauritius, and again, I was Mauritius Hotel, because I took a leave without pay. And I was promoted as Rooms Division Manager in Torbish in 74, end of 74, 75. And then moved to Le Monde, Brabant, which is today Dinarobin and Paradis. There again as Rooms Division Manager. Transferred back to Torbish as Deputy General Manager. There again in 1981, I got another scholarship from Italy, where I went to Italy for 7 months and came back in 1983. I was at the head office in the marketing department. I have done several trips to let's say, to the German television. I still got the CD with me, and have participated in some radios program there in German, and because according to the German, I speak very well German without any accent. And came back again. I was again transferred from the head office back to Le Monde as a Room Division Manager, from Room Division Manager to F&B Manager, then Manager Paradis, Manager Brabant, and after 27 years, I left Beachcomber to take over as General Manager of Belmar Plage, which we call today Constance Belmar Plage Hotel.
So that was your first GM role, yeah?
That's my first GM role, because I wanted to have that title in my CV. So, because you know, once you got to the title of GM, it remains forever and ever as a GM. So I have run Belmar Plage for 7 years. And after 7 years, with all the project coming in with Constance Group, we decided to open an academy. And I was asked to take over the academy. So from 1998, I have run the Academy of Constance until the 1st of May 2020. So 29 years at Constance, added to 27 years with Beachcomber, it makes you 56 years in this hotel industry. Yes, I've been rewarded from the government of Mauritius, not for what I've done in the hotel industry, but for all services which I've brought to my country. And I've got this officer, Star and Key of the Indian Ocean. And I must say also in 2013, as we had 2 hotels in the Seychelles, we decided to start to see how we can help the Seychelles Tourism Academy. And I've been working in close collaboration with the principal of the Seychelles Tourism Academy to develop certain courses and also to have talks with the Seychellois and the Seychellois in the schools so that they are interested in that hotel industry. What I wanted to do is to transmit that passion that I've got for this hotel industry. So as a reward to that, in 2013, the then Minister of Tourism, Mr. Alain Saint-Ors, asked me if I would like to be the patron of the new school of the Seychelles Tourism Academy before they let's say, they build up a new building. And up to now, I'm still the patron, and I've helped them in developing their courses in, let's say, supervisory level, apprentice level, supervisory level, and management level also.
Fantastic. Claude, if I, obviously, 56 years, almost 6 decades, I wanted to understand the tourism sector in Mauritius. Yeah, obviously you said, Le Chalon back then, which is today, we all know it's close to the airport. Mm-hmm. How did it all started? I mean, this tourism sector, I mean, who started it? Who got that crazy idea of building the first resort, in the middle of the Indian Ocean Islands at a time when there were no such thing as direct flights from Europe, and flying was something expensive, was very much for the select few. So who was that crazy person?
That crazy person, I must say that we have to give credit to him. He's no more here now. He passed away. It's Mr. Amédée Mingard and Mr. Michel Pitot at that time. And they started the first hotel in Mauritius was the Park Hotel, which was in Cupid at St. Clement Street. Kevin, we can say that it was the first business hotel of Mauritius. And then they built up Le Chalon, which was next to the airport, because at that time, you had planes coming to Mauritius, bringing mainly businessmen. And it was, let's say, Central African Airways, which is today is South African Airways. There was BOAC, British Airways today. Air France was also coming to Mauritius. And then afterwards came Alitalia and Air India. Those planes was bringing more businessmen, and slowly Central African Airways started to bring some of the South African people to Mauritius as tourists. So
and that was, just to put it in context, you're talking about the years well before independence. Which year are we talking?
1960s. The 60s, okay. Started the 60s. I started at Le Chalon 64, though Le Chalon was already built. And then they built up, we can't say an hotel at Le Monde, it was mainly, we call it in French, rondavel. It was like a sort of self-catering bungalows, if you can call it bungalows, you see. And it was called the Bigafi. Bigafi stands for big game fishing. So there was lots of Rhodesian people coming to Mauritius for this big game fishing, and they were staying there, you see.
So that was really early 60s. I mean, you've mentioned Rhodesians, so that was really 1960s, Rhodesian being Zambia, Zimbabwe together back
Zambia,
then. Exactly.
In fact, we had Zambia Airways also coming to Mauritius afterwards. Huh? And then Mr. Mingard decided to build, let's say, the second, today we call resort. Let's say let's call it beach hotel, because it was not resort hotel as it is today. He wanted to build this Mont Brabant hotel, and he asked some Mauritian people to join with him to build a hotel. And Kevin, being a Mauritian yourself, when you realize Le Monde as it was in those days, in the forest there, completely out of nowhere, and the Mauritian people say that guy must be mad. You can't put an hotel there. but still, he went to see British Airways, he went to see Air France and Air India, and they partner with him, and they built the first Mont Brabant hotel. Now we are approaching the 70s.
So this hotel, I mean, just to put it in context, the Mont Brabant Hotel is known as what today?
Today it's called Dina Robin, and the second one, which is next to it, is Paradis. And
okay,
Brabant has turned into Dina Robin.
At least for the younger generation to know which hotels and where they are. Yeah,
exactly.
Was there infrastructure leading to Le Mans at that point in time, like roads from the airport?
Not really. There were roads, if we could call it roads. But then afterwards, once you put an hotel there, once it is a sort of resort hotel, then things start to be improved. The roads start to be improved and all that, you see. And then I left Mauritius in 1971. Trobisch came out. They built Trobisch. And then from Trobisch, we had Merville and La Pirogue. These are hotels. When I came back in 1974, Merville and La Pirogue came out, let's say, was built, you see.
Which is interesting. I mean, all these hotels you're mentioning obviously are the flagship hotels in Mauritius. I mean, extremely well known.
Yeah.
La Pirogue is today part of Sun Resorts and Merville is part of Lux. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And then I must say that the Club Med arrived in 75, 76. Club Med was implemented in Mauritius. And I must say Club Med has, how am I going to call that? Revolutionized, let's say, they bring this sort of entertainment that we didn't have in our hotels in those days. They came.
I mean, Club Med was known to be it was known to be that kind of unique product, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. With Trigano and all that, and it was, I mean, entertainment, day and night entertainment. And one thing with the young people doesn't know, I always tell them that Club Med, when he arrives, they were not using any money in the hotel. They were using collier. I don't know how you put it in
yeah, sort of necklace, yeah.
Necklace, and you see, and you pay with that. You pay anything that you take in the hotel. You are paying with this let's say collier, as we said,
Well,
because they were not using money.
For younger Mauritians, that's interesting because today we're even talking about new currencies being crypto. But then back then, when you talk about Club Med, you're talking obviously the one which is in Canonier, in the north.
In Canonier, yes.
That's number one. And then for those who remember probably the comedy movies, Les Bronzés, obviously they shot movies in other parts of the world, but in Club Med, yeah, that gave you a feeling of Club Med was to do with all entertainment, basically, yeah.
Exactly. And then Mauritius Hotel started to think about also how to introduce entertainment in the hotel, you see. That's where, let's say, the word of resort started to be built with entertainment and all the sports, let's say, during the day and sport, and also at night, all these, let's say, entertainment which was produced in the hotel with an hotel band and all that, you see, with a Sega and all that, you see.
So you're talking around what, the 70s, yeah? Like
70s.
But was there at the time in the 60s or 70s or 70s, was there like a minister responsible for the tourism portfolio?
Yes. The well-known is Gaëtan Duval. Gaëtan Duval, he is the one, in fact, who let's say, opened Mauritius to the world. At that time, we received all these actresses, actors, let's say singers, French singers and all that. Gaëtan was inviting all of them to Mauritius. And when they go back, they write and they wrote about Mauritius. and they speak about Mauritius. There was lots of marketing was done through that, you see. And
was he Claude? Was he the first? Who was the first Minister of Tourism?
In fact, Gaëtan was the first Minister of Tourism.
So that
Gaëtan.
was okay, got it.
Yeah. He was the first Minister of Tourism. And then came afterwards, let's say Michael Glover, Anil Gayan, all these.
Even his son, yeah, Xavier Duval.
Xavier Duval, these are the recently,
yeah.
you see, Xavier and all that. And I must say, there's one thing. In 1977, there was a sort of a boom, let's say boom touristic, a boom economic. And Gaëtan Duval went to see, let's say, Constance in those days, who had Belmar Place, but Belmar Place had a sort of a self-catering bungalows at that time. And he asked them to build some rooms because there were an increase in the amount of tourists coming into Mauritius. So then they built up 5 blocks of rooms at Belmar. All this has been, has been renovated now, you see. So that's how Belmar came in 75. Belmar started in the tourism industry, you see. Now, I must say that in, let's say, from those days, 60s, COVID, up to, let's say, the 80s, we were still in a sort of, let's say, one-man show management with a
So was was it the CEO who decides pretty much everything?
Just a manager. Just a manager of the hotel. That's
the
all.
GM.
Not even GM, it was called manager. Let's say the title of GM came afterwards. Okay. Let's say the organigram changed completely when Sun International, which is Saint-Gérard, arrives on the market.
So that's Sol Kersner coming to Mauritius.
Sol Kersner coming to Mauritius. Then we move to a sort of a collegial management, which means that you have a GM. There was not a RISNET manager at that time, but there was, let's say, rooms division manager, F&B manager, entertainment manager, personnel manager, not even human resource manager. It was called personnel management. All these has changed today into human resource, talent managers, and all that, you see. So there was at least 5 or 6 departments, and together with the GM, they were managing the hotel. You see?
Got it.
That's how we come out. We come then, Mauritius Hotel at that time, then it would change to Beachcomber Group. They also, we started to think about how we are going to follow the trend and try to organize this collegial management, you see. And then they also introduce the GM and all these departments. So today, as you can see, medicine is in the hotel industry, psychology is in human industry, everything. And today with COVID-19, I think medicine will be more involved in the hotel industry, let's say today or tomorrow.
Which is interesting. I mean, I'm going to make a parallel with what you've said with Sun International coming to Mauritius, i.e. being an international or South African group and changing the landscape in terms of management. This is something which Mauritius has seen as well in the banking sector when international banks came to Mauritius as well. Yeah. So there's always good things by bringing new investors, new players in the market. You know, you get best practice, you know, things that you might not have thought about. I mean, you talk about Club Med as well. Yeah. When they came in, they sort of reversionized the product as well. Yeah. But let me ask you this. Yeah. At what point in time, from a government perspective, we started having kind of a strategic plan for tourism industry, like a roadmap? At what point in time was it, you know, we sort of redefine or we define what the sector is going to be, you know, at least some kind of clear direction? Yeah.
I must say that it is in the 80s. And this recall me of one person which has played, let's say, a great role in the marketing of the Mauritian product. It's Cyril Vadamoutou. Cyril Vadamoutou, director of Mauritius, which is Mauritius Promotion Tourism Authority today. He was a director, and every year he used to organize, let's say, some workshop in different countries and in different towns. I myself, I participated in lots of these workshops abroad. And I must say that Gaëtan Duval, Cyril Vadamoutou, and all these, let's say, Guy Hignet from MTTB, Carl Braunecker from White Centaurs, the name Jean Deschelles from Mauritius. You see, all these people, I must say that we were working together to promote this Mauritian product. Then we started with the CSEN, with this, let's say, a brand word, you see. And
Claude, if I may, sorry, I'm going to stop you here because you've mentioned something important, which is this working together. Yeah, because it seems to me, you know, the last 10 years or 15 years, you know, there's something lacking in the industry, you know, that working together is not there. There's this segmentation or segregation between government authorities and private sector, you know, in terms of control of institutions, whether it's MTPAs or LARIM, etc. So I just want to go back. So in the 1980s, it felt to me that there was a kind of a team spirit. Like, you had, you know, obviously you talked about the First Minister of Tourism. I mean, more that, you know, I think he was born for that, for that portfolio. You know, you know, it was so well suited for him. You know, when you look back, that working together, you think that's really what was one of the most important ingredients back then?
Definitely was one of the most important ingredients, Kevin. In those days, working together as a team, you see, as a family, working together and let's say, and move together. But slowly, I don't know what happened, why there was this break between, let's say, the private sector and the government. You see, at a point in time, LARIM, with all the hoteliers and all that, they were doing their own marketing alone, without working with the government. Let's say from time to time there have been something which was together, but most of the time they were doing their own business without waiting for the government to do something. I think it's still the same thing today. Sorry, it's still the same thing today, that they are a bit working on their own. I think we have to get it back again and try to make it as, let's say, the both hands together, you see, so that we can at least promote our Mauritian product. Because Kevin, you will agree with me, after 50 years of independence, when we look at our hotel industry, when we look at our product that we have in Mauritius, the kind of hotel that we have, the kind of service that we have, we must be proud of that. You see, we've got 5-star, 5+ stars hotel like Royal Palm, Prince Maurice. I mean, there are lots of 5 stars in Mauritius which are giving, let's say, 5-star service. You see, and we have to get it back again. We have to get it back.
And on that note, Claude, because obviously, you know, you've also been involved with Seychelles, and you've seen how Seychelles has grown its tourism industry and tourism sector. When you talk about 5-star for Mauritius, where do you think we are currently? What's happening? What's your holistic perspective of the tourism sector as we speak? Positives and minuses, yeah.
You see, having been 50 years in that industry, I still believe in it. I still believe that we can move forward. Well, we have to say the day after COVID. If we look at the Seychelles, where they are today, Seychelles, almost all the big groups, big hotel groups are in the Seychelles. So which means that they are doing something good. There you can see this working together between the government, let's say Seychelles Tourism Board, is working together with the hotel association there, and they are doing their marketing together, and it works. And it works. Seychelles, I mean, today, I won't say that they are a bit before us, but we have to be careful, otherwise we shall lag behind.
And again, you go back in this working together, I mean, which it sounds like as if, you know, maybe we're too used to it in the wrong way, but a government stroke Ministry of Tourism should be working together with the stakeholders. I mean, I can't see, for example, when I go and visit Greece or Cyprus or, you know, resorts destination, I can't see authorities not working together. They have to work together. So hopefully there is a new Minister of Tourism who's just been appointed a couple of days ago, and hopefully, you know, in Mauritius, hopefully that working together is going to be the modus operandi going forward. Yeah. Last question for today. You know, like I said to you, we'll probably get you back and would love for you to talk about education as a separate topic. Yeah, training in hospitality sector, Claude. Besides working together, which is the one thing that you've labeled, which is extremely important, there needs to be cohesion between government, the public sector and the private sector to basically come up with a revamped action plan, master plan, strategic plan, marketing plan. You are a person who's seen the tourism sector going through various phases over the last 6 decades. Are you still positive about the contribution of the sector going forward? Would you still say, you know, it's a sector that's going to be very important for Mauritius as one of the main economic pillars going forward?
Kevin, definitely yes. Even if what we look, what's happening today, all the hotels are closed and there is no tourists. But I still believe in that product. I still believe that the hotels will come back very quickly and tourists will come back. Of course, we have to change our way of doing things today. Even in greeting, how we're going to greet the tourists when they come back to our hotels, you see. So I think that we still have this, let's say, we're still popular as a destination. And when we look what has happened with COVID-19, we can't say that we are COVID-free, but still we have been able to manage the COVID-19. Maybe we can talk also with Seychelles. Seychelles has had only 11 cases. That's all, you see. So Seychelles today, they are opening, as from tomorrow, they are opening the airport, you see. And they had received some, let's say, some flight during the confinement, coming from Israel, a group who were there, but they arrived at the airport and then they were brought straight to the hotels. They were not in contact with the population, anything. So some of the hotel has been beneficial, you see, they benefit from that incentive group back to back, which was nice for them, you see. I'm sure that once we open, let's say the airport, with all that I'm hearing now that they are going to put a laboratory at the airport, and each hotel will have to look to spare at least 2 rooms for quarantine if there is any problem and all that. I mean, if we follow all these, let's say, structures and all that protocol, we should come back very quickly with where we were at that time. But the day after, Kevin, as we always say, le jour d'après, will never come. I don't think it will be the day after. The day after will take time until we've got at least something to cure that disease.
And in your almost 6 decades of experience, would you say this is the biggest crisis ever for the tourism sector?
Definitely, this is the biggest crisis sector which I've seen in my life.
Yeah, indeed. Hopefully, we'll come out of it, even if it's slower than usual. But at least, you know, I think the issue is to come out of it, yeah, and get some kind of normal trend eventually. Whether it's going to take 3 to 4 or 5 years, we'll see. Claude, fantastic to have you. It's 45 minutes ish. We could go for another hour very easily. But it was great to hear about your own parcours, your own CV, how you started from hospitality to being a police officer, and then back to hospitality and going up the ladder, and obviously your experience of having seen, you know, how when the first resort hotel was being built, being part of that evolution. Being part of the evolution where we saw Club Med, we saw Sun International, we saw bigger brands coming in. You've seen the first Minister of Tourism. Like I said, I think he was born for that ministry. You know, Sagaton Duval, and also the changes that has been happening in the industry, but also what you've seen as well from our neighbors, Seychelles as well, that have done tremendously well. You know, over the last 15 years. Claude, great to have you today, and look forward to catching up with you again one of these days. And keep well. I would assume you're enjoying your retirement, well deserved. And I know you're involved with a lot of other things as well as a way of giving back. You on the board of the Roots Advisory. You're the chairperson, and then also you're involved with education as well for the youth, amongst other many things that you currently do during retirement. So you don't stop. Yep, you keep going.
No.
Thanks a lot, Claude. And
as you can see, Kevin, have spoken with a lot of passion. As we just said, we could have talk until the cows come home.
Until the tourist comes back, yeah. At least.
Until the tourists come back, yeah.
So on that note, thank you very much, Claude, and thanks to everybody who's watching, and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kevin. Bye-bye.